the bottom line was, right, the goal was, and the logic was simple. If your customer was interested in X, those that are interested in X are also probably likely to be interested in Y, right? They're a good fit for your business. And that's going away. So think about that, right? That is going away. It's gone from Meta, Facebook, and now it's going away from Google.
You're listening to the Digital Data Cafe podcast, where we talk about everything data-driven in your world. Join us each week to hear from the world's top business and industry leaders on why using data in a digital world matters. Here's your host, Albert Thompson.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It's Jason Harris here with Strategy with Jason, and I have the one, the only, the oh-so-famous Mr. Albert Thompson.
Hey, how's it going, Jason? I like that. The oh-so-famous.
You're famous.
I'm not. No.
Hey, do you like my little Driven IQ logo back here? We
Beyond.
flying the flag. We're flying
Beyond.
the flag. Can we let the cat out of the bag? Should we tell everyone?
I think you should absolutely. This could be the episode that lets the cat out of the bag. Yes.
All
Please,
right.
let the cat out of the bag.
Hey, for everybody out there watching and listening right now, we got some great, exciting news. I have chosen to partner up with Albert and the amazing team over at Driven IQ and just crush the entire industry when it comes to data-driven marketing. It is not enough that we market for the sake of marketing. We are going to change this industry, and we're going to market data first. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to do it together. And you're going to change your screen on me.
And we're gonna have to edit that. So we're gonna have to fix that. Well, because look, I was trying to do it. So do you want to start over?
Oh, this is the best thing I love about these podcasts. People want to hear us make mistakes and look at
All right. Well, there, I just faded myself to green and faded back. But yes, Jason, you are officially 100%. We are excited to have you on board.
I get my tattoo next week, don't I?
Well, I mean, if it's anything like your podcast room, the tattoo is expected.
Expected? Can you imagine? I just kind of get it. I'm going to get it on my lower back. I'm going to get the Driven IQ logo go on my lower back.
The Driven IQ butterfly? The butterfly? You're going to get the butterfly? That's pretty bad.
Hey, we're having fun.
HR requirement. Could you imagine HR?
We'll have to
sign on.
We're gonna get Mercedes. We're gonna get Mercedes on one of these one time, and she's gonna be like, "Can you just stop talking?"
First, she'll be banned from talking.
Yeah. Banned from talking. Hey, we got some cool topics, and we like to have fun. We like to have fun on this podcast, guys. This is not, super formal. This is just, two guys with great passion around data, around marketing. And just what some amazing things we can do. And we get to take 30 minutes and just kind of chat anything and everything, that we want to chat about, when it comes to data and marketing. And look, there's some amazing stories out there right now. We got a chance to talk a little bit about this before we start recording today. I think Google's made one of the biggest changes, and these are normal. Like, this is normal. There are many changes that happen in the marketing world. So Albert, for everyone out there watching and listening, let's introduce them to the next biggest change that Google has with marketing.
Yeah. I think before we even talk about, the big change that's happening, which is, Google officially announces, that they're going to be sunsetting what's called similar audiences. I think before we can even talk about, something that's so important, that's actually being sunsetted, we should probably talk about what it is.
Yes.
Because the reality of the situation is, I think that before anybody realizes that something's deprecating, and the deprecation of this platform is going away, I don't think that people even know that it existed and what it meant to their business and, what the impact is. And so I think
you are so 100% right. So real quick, anybody watching and listening right now, if you got a marketing manager, a marketing director, or your nephew's, friend from high school running your marketing, I hope you don't. But if they're running your marketing, go get them right now, sit them down, grab some popcorn, because we got some chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Because this is important, right? Because if you're a marketer, right, if you're a CMO, or you're part of a marketing team, you are literally, let's face it, Jason, the reality of the situation is, right, as a business, we're trying to find ways to get the right audience.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear it all the time, right? Get the right audience at the right time, and execute the right message to get results, right? And we saw this back in 2013. I think 2013 is when Facebook launched lookalikes, and that just became synonymous in our lingo, right? We all use the word lookalike.
Oh,
We
yes.
it's in our lingo, it's in our language, but even Facebook has now moved away from lookalikes. So as a business, right, you're trying to find the balance between reaching the wider audience while still targeting people that your business finds especially particularly valuable, right? That's what
Absolutely. Like, you got to strike where the iron's hot. And this is not the first time that we've seen stuff like this happen. It's
right,
like, we remember, early Facebook before they changed their name to Meta.
right.
You know, I could target someone based on what they ate that afternoon. No, I'm just kidding. But
Right.
pretty close to it, right? Like, I mean, everything from what their hobbies were, what their general interests were, combine that with demographic, targeting. Like, it was an open book of how I wanted to create an audience and do that. And look, we benefit from that. Oh my gosh, the amount of laser targeted campaigns we were able to create to a very, very specific audience was truly amazing. But we've seen this. I mean, I remember, Albert, we've both been in this long enough. I tell some people this and they laugh about it. I remember when, my dealer group, in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, we pretty much owned the keyword Corvette
Oh yeah.
for like 13 cents a click for the entire
Interesting.
southwestern part of the United States, right? Like,
Right.
things
I was
change. You got to get on it while it's hot. And this is something that's hot, but is going away. So go ahead. Could continue.
No, absolutely. You have to get in on while it's hot, and so let's just dive straight into it, right? So what is similar audiences, and what does that mean for those that are actually doing Google or have been using Google Ads, right? So similar audience segments were a targeting option inside of Google Ads. It just wasn't just very similar to lookalikes, right? It's a way for you to go into your Google Ads platform. You could choose similar audience segments as a targeting option, and what it did was it allowed you to target users that looked similar to your remarketing audiences, right? Using a remarketing pixel,
Mhm.
or your customer match list. And so I think that's going to pivot us to what's a customer match list. Because probably most people have not taken advantage of Google's customer match. But Jason, I mean, what's been your experience? You've talked to a lot of businesses. Do you find that they're using
Well, I mean,
customer
I
match
look
data?
at this. I look at kind of the evolution of some of the things that have come and gone, right? Like, I mean,
Mhm.
think of cookies. It's funny. I just saw a podcast that I posted back in 2017 when we were talking about the cookie war and the
Right.
death of the cookie. And but look at that. We used cookies for 8, 10 years, and we created, very heavy and innovative and very effective remarketing, retargeting campaigns off this cookie data. We've lost that cookie data. You still get a little bit with Android devices, but for the most part it's pretty much gone. It's dead. So we lost that one, right? And then I remember when, Facebook launched their lead ad format, from literally one click of interest to an additional click, boom, it generated an entire lead. And every marketing agency jumped on top of this, and Google tried to come out with a version of it. So you have these two marketing Goliaths, and they keep going back and forth at each other, right? At one point in
Yep.
time, Facebook had the better targeting parameters, and then Google comes out with their in-market audience and algorithm that just did a phenomenal job of identifying the people that you were trying to go after. And then here we go. We have similar audiences, or Facebook's lookalike audiences. I know as a marketer, a lot of marketers, we've been living off of this function for several years, and because it's provided us great results at low cost. And now we're being told by Google this is going to go away as of May. This is going to be going away now. Supposedly something in the future is going to be replacing that, but that's going to be going away. Now we're going to see what Meta is going to do to respond to that. But I think the thing that and this is what our big topic is, we're all leading to the fact that all of these things have been slowly disappearing over the last decade, and we're all leading in one direction. And I know, Albert, you've been such a big proponent. Driven IQ's been such a big proponent. first party data. But in the past, first party data has not been available for everyone. You had to hire a data scientist, an agency, and a data engineer, and all this other stuff, And now it's like, I think we're getting to the point where amazing companies like Driven IQ and others out there can be the Oprah Winfrey's of data and go, you get data, and you get data. And it's just like, I'm excited. I'm jacked. Okay, I'll slow down. I'll actually let you introduce.
No, listen, I'm equally jacked. Because here's the thing is, and I think it's important, to share with the audience, right, that, we really saw something unique in the landscape of the market, right? When we were sizing up the marketplace, and I think it's really interesting, right? Because even if you think about, customer data platforms versus what we've actually been calling an audience data platform,
Yes.
This really is like, here we are. It's here.
First party data.
We saw it, and we knew that your audience, right, was going to be something that people needed, right? Because it's what in our opinion drives revenue, right?
Yes.
I mean, not that your customers don't drive revenue. They do. They drive a different type of revenue, and they're just as equally important. And in our platform, there's going to be ways that you can remarket and re-engage those identities in ways to drive loyalty. But there was a huge miss in the ability to identify your audience that's engaging in your business. And then secondary, think about the logic of these similar audiences, right? They were created from users, whether by remarketing or through your customer lists. And what they did, right, was they created a baseline audience. They used, maybe they called them a root audience, a seed audience, a source audience, lots of different names. The bottom line was, right, the goal was, and the logic was simple. If your customer was interested in X, those that are interested in X are also probably likely to be interested in Y, right? They're a good fit for your business. And that's going away. So think about that, right? That is going away. It's gone from Meta, Facebook, and now it's going away from Google. So if you look at Google and the dichotomy that exists, you've got your Google Ads audience, right? That you have an audience here that's never interacted with your brand. They just have a lot in common with the people that interact with your brand. And then you've got then you can use that from the remarketing side of it. That's going away.
Yep.
And then Google had this other side of it where they said, hey, we have this great thing called customer match lists. So I'm gonna talk about that for a second, because a lot of people don't know about Google's customer match, right? And what it does. And what Google's customer match does is it allows advertisers and brands to leverage their own customer data to reconnect to previous engagement to find new ones across the Google Ads network. So give you an example, right? You can upload your data list, and then Google, whether through email or phone numbers, right, will match those, and they're going to have a match rate. Sometimes between 29, 62% usually. We get 90% higher typically. But that data is then used to re-engage with your current customers as they reach out, right? And they're engaging on the digital pathways, okay? So this gives you a feature that most businesses today don't take advantage of. And this feature gives them the ability to target users across Google Search Network, like search ads, shopping ads, the display network, PMax, Gmail, YouTube, and even other third-party display sites. So here's why the customer match is super important. When tied to a first-party audience identity resolution platform like Driven. Because, well, for one, these are users that you have not been able to resolve and identify. But they did not get to your site by accident, right?
Nope.
They're there for a reason. So I'm a user. I go to Google Search Network. I type in, I'm looking for automotive dealer. I'm looking for divorce lawyer, you name it, dentist, does not matter. I come into the site. You need an identity resolution technology that's tied to an identity graph that legally maps and sequentially stitches that identity back to the device, right? Because let's face it, Jason, we all have 20 devices.
Exactly.
So, right? So I have to take my devices and I have to unify that in a logic and a data science way to say, hey, there's that golden record. We know that that's Albert Thompson. Here's the 16 devices that are tied to Albert Thompson. And here's Albert Thompson, 123 Main Street, Anytown, USA. And by the way, here's his income, his demographics, and all these other great things about Albert. Now that we've got this unified golden record, well, guess what? We can take that customer data set and we can upload it into Google as a targeting option. And then Google can say, hey, based on all of these people that have engaged, we've matched 90% of them having a Google account. Now, when X user goes back onto Google search or YouTube or any of these third-party sites that's in the display network, now you can make it so that only your ads show to those users.
Which is huge. I mean, if you think about it, I'm you know me, I like using the example of Sally's Salon and Bob's Roofing Company. I mean, in the past, for us to be able to kind of create these audiences, we relied on similar audiences or lookalikes. I would take Bob's 1,000 customers that he's worked with over the last 5 years and upload them, and I kind of build out I would let Facebook, I'd let Google kind of build out a model of kind of what those people look like and then target them. And then I'd see them do the same thing with Sally's Salon, all the people that she's collected emails off of and the people that she's done, cut hair for and stuff like that. And I've done that. But that's going away now. So, when we think of our website, still some of the best converting websites out there only convert 2-3% of the entire traffic that ever visits the website.
Right.
So how much first party data can I actually collect when that's at the best, some of the best conversions that we've seen out there? Look, I mean, since I've used Gemini IQ's Pixel and installed it on some of our clients, we're resolving 30, 40, 50, I don't want to say it, but sometimes upwards of 60% of these customers. And now we're actually able to create, real first party audiences based on behavioral actions, not guesstimations and hopes and dreams.
Yeah. No, I agree. And what's interesting, right? You hear the words, and there's a lot of buzz out there, right? You hear words like CDP and cookieless, but people I don't think really understand what that really means. Like, what you're talking about, right, is a cookieless identity resolution, identity graph, right? That's deterministically matching these users to create more accurate targeting and identify who these users are. So, when you talk about the Google customer match, it's interesting, right? Because it didn't get a lot of traction, and it certainly didn't get a lot of engagement. And I'll tell
Not
you
as much as Facebook's. No, look, you're totally right. It didn't get as much traction as Facebook's lookalike audience. I think also primarily because what they were utilizing, right? They were utilizing emails or they were utilizing, maids. Which, by the way, if you guys don't know what the terminology, we're talking about a mobile ad ID. That each one of your mobile devices have. That still can be used, by the way, in some places. Nobody ever talks about Bing, by the way. Don't know why.
By the way, Bing's on the come up big time.
Right? I actually believe this. I think we're going to get some comments about this. Be totally okay.
Yeah.
I'll let you tell me, and then I'll tell you why I think Bing's coming.
Okay. No, Bing is very, very interesting to watch. But just to go back to the customer match for a second, there's actually another reason why it didn't get a lot of traction. And the reason why is because if you think about the inherent use case for it, right, which is customer match allows you to target people that have already purchased from you.
Exactly.
So think about this for a second. Unless you've got an audience data platform of those that haven't purchased from you, why would you then take people that you've already got the information on, right? I've already filled out a form. I've got your name. I've got your email. I've got your phone number. I've got pretty much what I need to re-engage you across the digital pathways. Why am I going to upload that back into Google and then pay again to recapture you? So that's the flaw, right? That was the friction point for customer match. The great thing about it, though, is when you have an identity resolution tool, an audience data platform like our audience management platform, you don't have that rub, right? Because these people are in research mode. They have not revealed themselves to you. They have not filled out a form. So you, the business owner, do not have that email address or that phone number or that maid, to your point, to allow you to do cross-device targeting. So therefore, customer match becomes extremely valuable. I mean, beyond immensely valuable. It's increasing. Yes. Three main benefits to it, right? Here it is. Increasing conversion rate is the number one, right? Because it allows you to target people that have engaged on your site that you've resolved through identity resolution. And then now Google considers these people top of the prospect pool that you need to hit, right? So this is a huge step up from cold audiences.
Mm-hmm.
right? Which results in what? A much better conversion rate.
Yeah, should we call them lukewarm? Lukewarm?
I think they're better than lukewarm. I mean, listen, if you think
No,
about
I'm
it,
with
I
you.
don't.
They behaviorally taken an action. They're not just aware about my product or solution. They're generally interested in it.
I
It's
think
just
that's
in the
right.
past they've
Yeah,
never made themselves known, so I couldn't market directly to them.
yeah,
That's not the case anymore. But I mean, look, I remember when I started going down this path, Albert, 2013, 2015, in between there, I kept kind of looking at these. But Albert, back then, for me to buy this type of data, it was a minimum purchase of 30, 40, 50, $60,000 worth of data.
yeah.
I mean, Bob's Roofing Company, Sally's Salon, couldn't afford to do this kind of stuff. And I just don't think that the general population out there understands that this is a affordable technology now where it wasn't 5 or 7 years ago.
Well, I think not only is it affordable, I think it's a requirement.
Yes.
Yeah, I think if you are in business today, it's going to be a requirement. As we know, that we talk about it, right? But the deprecation of cookies is not a thing. It's happening. iOS 14. Ever since iOS 14, you're seeing more and more matches deprecate. From the issues caused from that. And here's the reality of the situation: if you don't have a cross device identity resolution solution, your ad waste,
It's
I can't
huge.
even begin. Yeah, I can't even begin to think about what the ad waste looks like, because you're essentially restarting over every single time you run an ad. You run an ad on Facebook, right? And let's say, Jason, you see it on your iPhone, right?
Mhm.
Well, if I can't unify that to your iPad, and unify that to your MacBook, and unify that to your MacBook Pro or whatever, every single time that you go back to Facebook, that system is going to start thinking, here is this new user, here is this new user, not taking into account journey, not taking into account engagement, not taking into account, the fact that we know who this individual is. You are wasting money, 100%.
Mhm. I agree. No, no, no,
And
not only are you wasting money, but you're also wasting time. Come on, let's face it. You're wasting time. Um, a long time ago, I made a comment that I heard from someone much smarter than me. So, but it's someone that's always kind of stuck with me. Is that marketing without a strategy is just art. Marketing with a strategy, is what we're all striving for. But how can you effectively have a strategy if you don't have a solid audience development technique or technology to use? Like, you're going out there blind. You just, and I hate to say this. Look, guys, I audit a lot of ad accounts and meta accounts. And I'm going to tell you right now, there are a lot of ad managers that are built like this. Yeah,
mhm,
I think that will work. Let's go ahead. Like,
yeah, yeah,
it's going in blind, and it's not acceptable anymore. To your point, Albert, it's a necessity. The technology is there. It's at your fingertips. You need to pursue it. And right now, I think some people are getting a little confused because these audience identity technology, all right, is available, but now we threw a new acronym at them, and we called them CDPs, and now people are getting confused. Well, what's the difference there? And and
yeah,
and why doesn't one or the other do the exact same thing? So let's go down the rabbit hole of
yeah.
CDPs for a little bit.
Well, I think, and by the way, CDP is really, and look, I'm going to cautiously say this, but right, it's just terminology, right?
It
It's just
is.
it's all it is, and the confusion is understandable, right? Because it's like, so what's a customer data platform? What's a DMP? And I think before you can even talk about a CDP, we had a team meeting this week, and I talked about this, right? I'm like, before you can really understand a customer data platform, you really have to understand the evolution of how we got there. And if you think about it, right, we started with our CRMs, right? This system of record that allowed us to store and manage our leads, right? And then it's like, okay, well, if I want to go out and I'm an agency or I'm a business and I want to go out and I want to buy more audiences, right? Where did we go? We went to what was called DMPs.
Hmm.
Okay. And a DMP stood for data management platform, right? And then after a while, then all of a sudden now we see the deprecation of cookies. And then we realized, oh my gosh, we need to improve targeting. We need to unify the segments of our audience. We need to build personalized marketing. We have to understand the personas of our person. There's all these privacy regulations coming into play. And now here evolves this new platform called a CDP, and it tend to get confused often with each other.
Well, and you know what it is I think what it comes down to is it's what's the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah.
I think people need to have a real conversation around the data, and goals and objectives not being defined enough before we start leaning into the data conversation. I guess that's where I'm trying to go with this, right?
No, I think you're spot on. I think actually I really like what you said, right? Because you have to understand what separates the two platforms to understand the data and how it's used in each one, right? So I think the confusion is understandable,
Of
right?
course.
Well, right? I mean, fundamentally, they both use data to do what? Build audiences for marketers, right?
Yes.
But what separates the two of the platforms, right, is how each one uses data and how the data is collected, right? And those different types of data ultimately means there needs to be two different types of systems, right? Two different types of platforms. So well, I'll start with a data management platform. A data management platform typically used second party data, like think about lists,
Mhm.
third party data, right? And that's cookie data, right? So that could be like, hey, here's cookie 1 2 3 4 5 6. It's associated with this user that we know is visiting on Travelocity, on hotels.com, on kayak.com, and they're looking at Hawaii vacations, right? So here we are, third party person, typically associated with travel, typically associated with Hawaii vacations. There you have it, right?
Mhm.
There's this audience that you can target, and you can buy that from a DMP. And then as a marketer, you can activate that audience and you can put your ads anywhere you want them to that user, right? The CDP, though, is best described as a way to collect and organize your first party data
Yes.
or users that are on your website, your mobile app, or they're, in our case, we took it one step further. We said anybody also who might interact with your business
Yes.
on the front side. So it's not just the data that's collected from people who've filled out a form on your website, who've been to your mobile app, or anybody else that might interact with your business, from a conversion standpoint, like a white paper or something like that. That's what a CDP does today. Then they take that data, right? They share it with your with their identity graph maybe,
Mhm.
and then they basically unify it, and then they create this unified customer profile behind a persistent identifier. That's what it's called. But we said, hey, there's this other section here of what about all the other people that might be interacting with your business on your website that hasn't became a customer yet. That's the difference, right? So I think when you think about a CDP, they've engaged, they've interacted, they've revealed. And then if you think about what we're creating here, which is an audience management platform,
It's one step
they
before.
that's right. They've interacted with your business, but they haven't revealed. So this is something that really becomes important in our viewpoint to help improve targeting, right? Because what's more
Well, not just
relevant
targeting, but
than yeah,
also the experience. I think
yeah,
too
yeah.
often,
That's true. Very good
as
point.
marketers, we don't talk about the marketing experience. It's just like, hey, we put an ad out there, and we'll use automotive for example. We put an ad of a truck out there, and it's $350 biweekly, and that's it. Yeah, and what kind of experience does that generate? And let's talk about what makes an experience an experience. What makes an experience is how well the company knows me as an individual. Like if you think of going to your favorite restaurant or your favorite bar, I have this one bar I love going to. I walk in the door, the bartender sees me, I see them, I wave. All right. And before I even sit down, the usual? Yes, thank you. And Frank goes back and he makes the usual for me, and I feel known. I feel, this is my Cheers. If I'm dating myself,
Yeah,
by the way, if anybody
right,
watching or listening, Cheers was a TV show about a bar
right,
where everybody knows your name. Um,
right,
but
right.
that's what I'm saying. We can use this data to enhance our marketing efforts to 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 kind of identify and talk, literally communicate, all right, to this potential customer that hey, I see you. I see you. I hear
Yeah.
you. I know where you are. I identify you, and I know you. And look, this is what I want you to see. This is what I can. It's a customized. It feels white glove. It's like I'm known by this company. I'm identified as this company as an individual, and they're giving me a message that's relevant to me based on what my activities and what I've done and how far I've gone through the process or whatever it is. I think that power. I think that marketing experience. And that's actually, I gotta be honest with you, Albert, that's why I'm jacked. I'm
Yeah,
jacked
no,
because I've been
it's
singing this song for years. Not too many people have cared about it because, face it, we were able to get away with half-ass marketing because we
yeah.
had these amazing, tools around being able to create these custom audiences. And now it's like, no, now you need to know your audience. You need to communicate with your audience.
Yeah, so you're spot on, right? And one of the biggest use cases, right? When you're talking about an audience data platform or a CDP, and exactly what you're talking about, right? Which is, and I can't remember the exact, so please don't quote me on the exact percentage, but I think it's like 67 or 71% on the last customer experience survey. Basically said that they expect brands and retailers to have a deeper level understanding of who they are and have a personalized message that's relevant to them to engage with them, right? And so, enter in enhanced personalization. That's what's happening today, and this is where this particular type of technology really is a game changer, right? Because after you collect and after you unify all of this customer data, after you clean it, after you deduplicate it, normalize it, after we do all of these great things, right? What are you going to do with it? You need to personalize it to the journey with your brand and the journey with your customer, right? And all of these factors, it's a confluence of factors, Jason. Think about it like this: product categories viewed. What did they look at? What web pages were visited?
What
What
services?
emails
Yep.
did they open?
Yep.
Right. Spending level, in-store engagement, using those customer segments and their journey tied to their persona, you can begin to deploy amazingly personalized, customized experiences that align with their customers' behaviors and their preferences.
And it is truly a very impressive experience.
Yeah.
I love my Bonvoy points, and I love staring at Marriott properties. It's kind of my go-to thing. And occasionally when I'm at these Marriott properties, I will stop at the spa and I will get a massage. Now
Yep.
I am so insanely impressed. I have a Marriott property. It's a Delta property booked for Dallas next week. What do I get? I get an email piece from them saying, "Hey Jason, just to let you know, while you're here are the openings at the spa. Just click the button if you'd like to see." I'm like,
It's
they,
incredible, right?
they know me, Albert.
Yeah.
They,
They know you. They know you. I mean, the use cases are endless, right? I mean, as an example, I mean, you could send an invitation to an in-store shopping event, right? Based on the fact that there's a certain segment of customers who happen to live within 3 miles of the store. And then maybe even take it one step further. Maybe they live 3 miles within the store and they've been to your location in the last 6 months 3 times. And then maybe to even enhance it even further, you can include a special discount on that massage that you're talking about because you know that we've got transactional data that says you got a spa in the last 6 months, right? Or a massage. This is where it gets really exciting. And we haven't even talked about this, and I think we should probably save it for another the next chat.
for
But
sure.
layering in geospatial intelligence, right? Layering
Mm.
in foot traffic movement data.
It was funny. I was
Um,
thinking about that as we were kind of going along. It's
yeah,
definitely, we got to go down the path
we have
of
to.
understanding geo and what is the opportunity there, both from an acquisition perspective, a retention perspective, but then also an experiential perspective to
Yeah.
to know what your customers are doing and the frequency in which they're coming in and out of your business. Or there's so much there, so much there.
No, there absolutely is. I mean, because I really truly believe 100%. Once you have some insight into your customer shopping behavior, both from a offline perspective as well as an online perspective, being able to unify those two things together to really support a personalized, multi-channel message becomes really exciting, right? And then layering in transactional data, and this is where that customer data piece comes in. So this is why I really think that, that linear path, right, from early engagement, right, when they first engage, resolving the identity. This is where we really are unique to anybody else in the market. Starting with that early engagement, starting with that early identity resolution, starting with that customer journey, making sure that you're taking in that 360-degree view of the customer. Again, another buzzword that's out there, but it really does mean something, right? What is a 360-degree view of your customer? Well, look, when you unify all of that data together and you can start to understand, hey, here's Jan Smith. She's married. She's got 3 kids. Her children are from 4 to 8 years old. And she's married to Stan Smith, and Stan Smith's a veteran. You can really start to have a very different type of, to your point, experiential multi-channel messaging strategy that takes into that 360-degree view of the customer. It just takes this concept of lookalikes and all of that stuff way out of the water.
It makes them feel like a Pinto.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? But when But when you can take that data and then you can layer in things like customer match,
that's a Ferrari.
That's the Ferrari. You took your Pinto to a Ferrari.
But I think even though I'm using that analogy of vehicles, I use the word Ferrari. But guys, this is attainable for every small, medium, large business out there. This is not what it was 7 or 10 years ago. And you needed these monster ad spends and a data scientist to understand it, and a data modelist and a data engineer to get this done. This is incredibly attainable right now. And if you're not doing it for your own marketing efforts, or if you're an agency and you're not doing it for your clients, you're 100% missing the boat right now. This is where it's hot, and we're looking at always finding the lowest cost of attention with the highest results. This is where you're going to get it. Jump on it, because look, it may not be like this always. Here's what we said. We said we were going to go 30 minutes. We went over 30. We're 35 minutes in this conversation. But we will definitely do a lot more of this. But before I let you go, Albert, for everybody out there watching and listening, what is the best way they can connect? How can they learn more about Driven IQ? And do you have any final thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, listen, driveniq.com. You can also check out the audience management platform. You can actually sign up for our SaaS platform, just went live. So visit iq.io. That's visit, VISIT, iq.io. Sign up, get yourself a free trial. You can resolve the first 200 in-market engaged shoppers on your platform, helping you to get your single unified view of your customer, some actionable insights. And I think last words, without actionable insights, analytics, and bringing your customer data to life, you will fall flat. So let's have some more successful marketing, and thanks for your time.
There you guys, you heard it. I'm going to start calling Albert the Oprah Winfrey of data. You get data. You get data. You get data. Everybody gets a free trial. So if you've watched or listened to the end of this podcast, you got to get your free gift today. Visit. Again, what is it? Visit
iq.io.
Visit iq.io. Get your guys' self some data today, and make a big difference, either in your own marketing efforts, or if you're an agency, in your clients' efforts. Thank you guys so much for listening. We really appreciate your time. Have yourself an amazing day.
Thank you.